one of the hardest times to create. If somebody tells you you have all the time, all the money, do whatever you want, in which medium you want, go at it. Sounds fascinating, sounds great. I think that that void is actually paralyzing.
A new practice that I'm trying to bring into that creative process is taking some time to sort of decompress and focus on the ideas that exist, and then often just trying to pick the one that I literally see in front of my nose.
Hello, my name is Grace Bewley-Hunt, Home and Design Editor at Luxe Interiors and Design Magazine. Thank you for tuning into today's Maker segment on DesignTV. I'm thrilled to be chatting today with the design duo behind luxury American furnishings brand Helene Chang. Eric Chang, Creative Director and Client Relations Manager, and Dan Hellman, Technical Designer and Operations Director. Beloved for their refined, exquisitely crafted furniture, Helene Chang also has one of my personal favorite brand genesis stories ever. As childhood friends in Maryland, Dan and Eric spent their high school days tinkering in Dan's father's garage, teaching themselves woodworking from borrowed library books. While they pursued successful careers in music and marketing respectively, the pull to their self-taught hobby held fast, and soon they found themselves moonlighting as woodworkers and designers, their true passion, of course, from a shared rental studio space in Bushwick, and the rest, as they say. So today we're going to be diving into this brand and story, getting to know the men behind the circular saw, and talking through the remarkable steps they're taking to really evolve this brand in these crazy times. So without further ado, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. So to get started, just for those who are less familiar with your brand, I'd love if you could each speak a bit more about what Helene Chang does and kind of your respective roles in the partnership. So Eric, do you want to kick things off for us?
Yeah, sure. Dan and I are, both co-founders, but we are able to kind of divvy up that workload pretty well. We're a good kind of yin-yang balance. So my daily schedule mostly involves coordinating things with the showrooms, meeting and speaking with designers, understanding the projects and how we can customize our line for their specific design schemes. And for us, that's very inspirational. In fact, it's kind of how our line grows and how we personally get inspired by what we do. And usually in the afternoons, I'll have a design meeting with my team to kind of go over new concepts and refining new products. That's my half of things. Dan wants to kind of go over what he does.
So and on my end of the spectrum, I'm dealing much more with once we have an order and how that order goes through the system, goes through the shop. So I spend a lot of my time throughout the days, first getting the day kicked off with the production team, what has to get done for that day, what's expected, just managing the whole machine. Consider the whole shop a big machine with a lot of moving parts and things having to get done and on the right time and on the right schedule and of the right quality. And then with new designs, working with our engineering and production, programming side of things to make sure that we're going to be making the right part and the right pieces, and all things are going to go smoothly once they do hit the shop floor. So it's a lot of that, and then searching for ways to make things more efficient in the shop and leverage all that we've invested into the company so we can look to the years ahead.
I will say though, the way that Dan and I work together, it's still kind of the old method that we used to, where generally I draw something up and then Dan will end up shredding it apart and saying, this isn't going to work. So we kind of go back and forth between the two of us to figure out, how we're going to create a perfect piece that's perfectly executed at the same time. So we still have that good balance and mentality together. Well, I often joke that without each other, I just have a stack of drawings and Dan would have his cutting boards, but then together we can make beautiful furniture.
No, definitely. I feel like your partnership is so impressive, not only for its dynamic, but also for the you've traveled with each other over the years and it's still doing it right, you know? And kind of, you know, kicking it back a little bit, I'd love if you guys could actually share a little bit more about kind of your birth in Brooklyn, because I know we're going to be talking about a recent move very shortly. But if you could kind of just share a little bit more about getting your start, if you will, in the Brooklyn Renaissance movement.
Sure. Yeah, maybe I could kick things off by just saying that, you know, again, you kind of alluded to it, but Eric and I have been lifelong friends since we're about 10 years old. Middle school, high school, had, you know, classes together. And it started, we kind of were hanging out and realized that we had a shared passion for art and design, and loved woodworking class. So it was kind of the beginning seeds of what we have going on right now. But we, like you said, we started tinkering around in my parents' garage in suburban Maryland. And fast forward to New York, you know, post-college, you know, Eric went to NYU and studied finance and marketing, and I went to Northwestern and I studied classical guitar performance. So none of us had design background, but we were just hanging out and remembering those days in the garage and how we could recreate it. Found a really cool co-op wood shop space where we could kind of rekindle the hobby. And you know, yeah, and so it was a lot of fun in those early days, getting it off the ground. You know, kind of fast forward to the design trade. You know, we entered one of our first pieces into Interior Design Magazine's Best of Year award, and as young 20-somethings ended up winning the category. Eric, you want to?
We remember there's the first Best of Year awards, I think 2006, and yeah, we're like 24 at the time. We go on stage and we accept this award from Cindy Allen, and she's like, "Who the heck are you guys?" And "Who are you?" She's the first person we ever met in the industry. And the piece gets published, and a week later, we get a call from the Four Seasons, so the designers for the Four Seasons Hotel in Seattle. So we love this piece. Can you redesign it as a restaurant bar table? And that was our very first client. And I remember being in Dan's, you know, Upper West Side basement apartment, being on the phone with them, and they're like, "Yeah, we can do that." And we high-fived each other, and then we're like, "How the hell are we going to do this?"
Right. Say yes, figure it out later.
Yeah. So that was our first kind of foray into, hey, we have something here. And our second client ended up being Sex and the City, the movie, and they had us redesign the table as bedside tables for Carrie and Big's bedroom. And then our third or fourth client was Gossip Girl. We designed a number of pieces for their set, and they actually ended up writing us into one of their script episodes, which was fun. And kind of the rest is history. We ended up getting picked up by trade showrooms, and now here we are, you know, 14 years later.
Yeah, and I would love to kind of use it as a segue because you guys have made a huge change recently. You have moved your operations from New York City down to Dawsonville, Georgia, which I can imagine is a change of pace in so many ways. So exciting, so many things on the horizon. I would love to hear a bit about how that transition has been, personally, professionally. How's Georgia life treating you?
Yeah, it's been, in short, it's been great. It's been really challenging and a lot of hard work. And so far, we're seeing the beginnings of it being a rewarding transition. Brooklyn was a really great place to start our company, but what we were doing and the types of products we were making, it was beginning to catch up with us. That the charming spaces that you can find in Brooklyn, these artist lofts and studios, have so much appeal, especially to two young guys starting out. But as we grew, and so we first, you know, years ago, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, we started looking at other spaces, and you know, neighborhoods are getting gentrified, and you know, lofts are turning, or warehouse spaces are turning into lofts, which are turning into apartment buildings. So it became pretty clear that it was we had to look elsewhere. One of the things I'm most excited about is how flat our floor is. Our Brooklyn shops were just these old kind of rickety, you know, sinking in type buildings. They've been pre-war. You know, we have a nice modern manufacturing space. We were able to lay out our machinery in a much better setup so we could allow for a better flow of the product through the space. Another key thing was we combined it. We had our spaces separate in Brooklyn. We had a woodworking shop and we had a finishing shop. And now we were able to bring all that under one roof, which was really key. to have it all that control and be able to see everything and only go to one place during the day, not have to split time. So for a lot of those reasons, and we're really just beginning. We're just beginning to kind of feel the benefits of the move and our new space.
You know, part of that move, of course, was expanding our production capabilities. We implemented fairly successfully, it's an ongoing process, but lean production. And one of the big goals for us was trying to take maybe the top 20% of our line and streamlining that process. Because as you guys all know, with the Amazon culture and with users being more used to retail, there has just been this constant demand in the last few years for faster lead times and quick ship products. So over the last few months, what we've been able to do is kind of combine all of that into a really robust 4-week quick ship program.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, it actually has 17 products available in over 170 SKU combinations. Yeah, all for 4 weeks. And that certainly would not have been possible without this recent move.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, having this new space has allowed, like Dan said, the marriage of technology and craftsmanship in a way that really kind of suits our team. What that has done on the creative side of things, it's allowed us to start flexing our muscles with new product design. So actually this fall, we'll be introducing 2 new lines. One is called the Fountain line, the other is yet to be named. But we wouldn't have been able to do it without our new team, without the new machinery that we have in this space. So these have been designs that have been kind of cooking for the last couple of years, but just no real way to comfortably execute it. And now we can, which I'm really, really excited about. The Fountain line is a little more inspired by nature and specifically kind of like the Southeast Asian islands that kind of pop out of the water with these cascading waterfalls.
Gorgeous.
And the other line that I'm really excited about is kind of a marriage of more curvature and straight lines and a focus on negative space, which we've been known for. So, you know, where we've been super linear before with solid woods, we've been able to kind of soften our lines a little bit and evolve the design language. So we're very, very excited about that.
Sounds very beautiful. I actually would really like to know kind of something I always like to ask creatives is to play favorites. I would actually love if each of you could kind of share a favorite piece from your line and maybe the story behind that piece and why it kind of sticks out.
You know, in thinking about that, I kind of picked 2 pieces. One of our classic designs is the NOLA line, specifically the NOLA round table. Just a really pretty piece, very simple. But what I like about it, it really was one of the first pieces that we started marrying straight lines and curves. So the kind of darts that I call them, that are created from the inner curving facets of the legs, intersect quite nicely into like a very round bottom plate to the base with a really beautiful under bevel on the round top. So again, it's like rounds and curves with straight lines that intersect. And what I also love about it is it bends just enough like classic woodworking rules and techniques. So we're kind of like pushing the material to the limit there, but getting away with it. Another kind of newer design is our Jillian. So the Jillian sideboard we're really excited about. We're playing with different grain patterns. So on the doors, you'll see a contrasting grain pattern that is delineated by an inlay brass. Just a really pretty look, and designers can do a lot with it. It's a case piece, so you can really customize the inside. You can use it as a small 2-door hutch. You can use it as a long, low sideboard. So it just has a lot of cool opportunities with it, mixed materials. Really nice piece.
How about you, Eric?
Yeah, it's kind of like picking your favorite child.
Right.
The easy cop-out answer is, you know, the Z collection. Obviously, that's kind of how we got ourselves on the map, and so it's kind of become iconic in its own right. But you know, we've done every iteration of that piece: side table, bedside tables, consoles, dining tables. It's always still fun to see how designers keep playing with it. Another classic line for us is the Natalia Casefit line. It's got bedside tables and sideboards. Just the variability of customization that's available through it is a lot of fun as well. But for new things, Hellman Chang has primarily been a case good line. We're really known for dining tables and consoles and sideboards, but we're really excited about diversifying our portfolio within soft goods and seating. So one of our newest chairs is the Terra chair. Very excited about that one.
That's so gorgeous.
in recent to the market. Yeah, it's got these beautiful solid brass handles milled from very thick, heavy solid metal. And it's a beautiful marriage between sculpting the wood and then transitioning to new materials, whether that's the beautiful fabric that a designer chooses, all the way up to the different metal finishes that they can pick from. So again, it's funny because we see our pieces all in a vacuum, in the context of a dusty wood shop.
Sure.
But to see how these things come alive at a part of a larger design scheme and seeing how you can really be creative with it is just super inspiring for us. Everything is a collaborative effort, and I think that's what makes our job so fulfilling.
Definitely. Isn't that just like a continual delight, seeing your pieces in amazing spaces and different contexts? That must be so edifying.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you raise your child and you see it go off in the world and do amazing things, or completely bomb. Who knows? I mean, it's just a fun experience.
You're like, I'm so proud of you. You look great. Well, Eric and Dan, this has been so much fun and such an education for me. I want to say a huge thank you for joining us today on Makers. And to our viewers, please remember to like our Facebook page, Luxe Interiors and Design, and to make sure to follow our Luxe Instagram page at Luxe Magazine for more inspiration. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you all next time on DesignTV.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Helene Oberman, Managing Director of Interior Design Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to Product Live. This is our series that delves into the products and trends, grabbing the industry, and in real time, look at the minds behind the design. So it began with a mission to reverse global warming. They stopped seeing carbon as the enemy and began to use it as a resource. Taking its cue from nature, Interface has learned to work with carbon, using it as a building block to engineer better products. And now, with the goal to make products with the lowest carbon footprint possible, Interface is designing products that go well beyond neutral in order to restore the health of the planet. With me today to discuss Interface's product innovation to reduce their carbon footprint is Carrie Pei, Vice President of Global Design, and Lisa Conway, Vice President of Sustainability for the Americas. Welcome, ladies. It's so lovely to have you on today's program.
Hello.
So, diving right in. So with your Mission Zero challenge now met, congratulations. You have set up a new commitment for Interface to reverse global warming with climate take back and for the company to be carbon negative by the year 2040. So Lisa, can you go and explain what this new goal entails for Interface?
Yeah, absolutely. When we were nearing the end of Mission Zero, we started to think about what is Interface uniquely positioned to solve as far as a global world problem goes? And what we realized with the help of our Eco Dream team, including Paul Hawken and our long history of lowering carbon emissions associated with creating our products, is that what the world really needs now is the reversal of global warming. And this is not just about, quote unquote, the environment or polar bears. This is about restoring the health of our ecosystem, including to benefit us. So what it means for us is that we're not just looking at zero as a goal, we're actually looking at negative as a goal. And negative is kind of a strange thing, term to use, especially in design. But negative is a positive thing. That's the biggest thing to remember. The negative is actually a measurement, and it's a measurement of storage of carbon in a product, especially because they're plant-based and absorb that CO2 from the atmosphere. So we're really excited about what this can mean for our company, and then also what it can mean in terms of a product, which is what makes it really real for people.
So really, how did you guys decide upon this approach to take to carbon negativity?
Yeah, I mean, most of our listeners probably know that Interface has been on Mission Zero since 1994. So that was all about us eliminating any negative impact our company had on the environment by the year 2020. We declared success on that last year, but prior to the end of that mission, we started to think about what's next for Interface. You know, we're not a brand that rests on our laurels, and we wanted to think about what we were uniquely positioned to really give the world. We're not a huge company. A lot of the work that we do and the measurable impact that we have is through our ripple effect, through our brand reputation and getting others to do these large things. So what we started to land on was actually the reversal of global warming. So no big deal, you know. We love a good mission that sounds impossible. It's exactly what Mission Zero felt like when we set that back in 1994. And, you know, it really started to put our innovation team in a different place. We're no longer aiming for zero negative impact. We're now aiming for positive impact, which is actually measured as carbon negativity. So a little bit confusing. Carbon negative is climate positive. So that's really the way to think about it, because there's a lot more of this jargon that's out there. And what happened for us is we launched our mission of climate takeback in 2016. In 2017, we developed a prototype carpet tile that was in fact carbon negative. So if you remember just the number 6 out there generally, the carbon impact of that carpet tile was -2. So it actually showed that we could store more carbon in a product than having been released through its creation. And then we started to commercialize the backing. And here we are this month, it's now October, and we'll be launching both our Sequest backing platform, which is carbon negative backings, and then also 3 products that Carrie has designed that are actually carbon negative in their totality. So the face and the backing, the whole product. So super exciting, and also luckily super beautiful, because no one would specify them if they weren't gorgeous.
Well, speaking of the collection, so obviously staying true to your sustainability mission and really to your need to uphold design, performance, and beauty, you are launching a new collection, apropos Embodied Beauty, which is directly aligned with your goal of carbon negativity. So Lisa and or Carrie, is a good time sort of to jump in and tell us a little bit more about the launch of this new collection.
I'll hand it to Carrie. She's been behind the scenes of designing this beauty.
Well, the collection consists of 6 products, or excuse me, 7 products. 4 of them are carbon neutral and 3 of them are carbon negative. And so when we were first given the task to design a collection that's carbon negative, it became really important to me that we marry the aesthetics of the product with the mission that we were set out to achieve. And so we looked to the culture that one would associate with renewal, with zero waste. And so we looked at some of the things that were coming out of Japan in terms of, you know, the craft and the textiles and their dedication to reusing materials and giving them a new life. You know, when something's broken, they solder it together and they call it the kintsugi, and it's incredibly beautiful. If a textile is torn, instead of throwing it away, they give it a stitching pattern and give it a new life and call that sashiko. So this seemed like the perfect marriage between us doing something to renew the earth and our atmosphere and putting together a product line that said things can be beautiful a second time around. With Embodied Beauty, we have the 4 carbon neutral products, which are pretty plush especially compared to the carbon negative products, because the carbon negative products, in order for it to be carbon negative, at the time, we realized that the face weight had to be a certain ounce, and the stitching and the yarns that we used, the machine that we used, these were all new techniques, new constructions, new yarns, new machine. Everything was brand new to create something that didn't exist in the world. And when they're paired with the plusher fabrics, it really creates a wonderful landscape of textures across the floor. So there is a purpose to not just having carbon negativity, but also that aesthetic, a broader palette of ways for people to use the floor for wayfinding and for designating 6-foot distances, per se.
Well, I would love to find out from the two of you actually how you guys centered on the name of Embodied Beauty and what that actually means.
I love the name Embodied Beauty because it's almost like I got my word and Carrie got hers. It's almost like this perfect interweaving of sustainability and design, because I talk about, you know, embodied carbon all the time. You know, it's a big part of what our brand stands for. We co-founded an external collaboration around embodied carbon, but you know, we say all the time that if it's not beautiful, people won't use it. You know, they won't specify it. I don't get that excited about all of the names of our products, but I really love this one. And I think it marks a moment in time for us where all of our collections going forward will have embodied beauty, even to a more extreme level than they have in the past. So it's pretty cool.
We keep on touching on these like 3 carbon negative designs, but can you actually sort of name them and sort of describe what each of them are like?
Yes, so so Tokyo Texture and Sishu Stitch and Zen Stitch are the names of the 3 carbon negative products. And so Tokyo Texture is just beautiful all over texture. It's just very organic looking. It can go in any place. It can complement any carpet at all. It's your wardrobe basic. And Shishu Stitch has a companion in carbon neutral product. Sashiko Stitch is the companion. Both are the same pattern, but because they're run on 2 different machines, they have a slightly different aesthetic. You know, one is more plush, the other one's flat. And the color, because the yarns are also different yarns used for the different products, carbon neutral and carbon negative, the colors aren't exactly alike, but they're paired together. And I think that this is really better, that you get a little bit more of a broader, you know, a fuller sentence, if you will, in putting the carpets together, because they're not so matchy-matchy. Mm-hmm. They expand in tone. And then similarly, Zen Stitch has a pair of vintage kimono, also in the carbon neutral. So then we have Geisha Gather. So Geisha Gather is the plushest of the carbon neutral products. And Geisha Gather was inspired by the kimono. And the kimono is like pencil straight. It's, you know, in its construction, it's meant to be as straight as possible. So we kind of took a cue from that. And then also the obi stash that's in the back, how it folds into a box in the back of the kimono. And we took the approach to make the plank itself the design element, rather than putting a pattern across the plank with this sort of sash, and you put it together across the floor with other planks, creates the pattern. And it's what we're borrowing also from another Japanese term of wabi-sabi, which is to embrace the imperfect. You know, you don't control the floor so much and the design of the floor so much. You allow for that little something, that little imperfection to give that je ne sais quoi.
Well, it's interesting because there's one term that I know that was sort of maybe the meaning and the thought process, which you haven't touched on, which is it ikigai?
Ikigai.
Ikigai. Yeah. So what is ikigai?
Ikigai, I love that term. I love that word. It's not even a term. It's a one word that encompasses a whole meaning for having a purpose. With this carbon negative journey that we are going on, and we're hoping others follow. We really, really want to change the world and to change the way that other manufacturers think about their products. This is our ikigai. This is our purpose. And so that ikigai embodies really the whole idea of embodied beauty, the Japanese crafts to be our inspiration, and envelop it with our sustainability mission.
So Carrie, I know you kind of like gave a big overview. So of the collection, there's the 3 carbon negative, and then there's the complementary for carbon neutral styles. But actually, Lisa, I want to bring it back into the conversation, because really just both for myself and the audience, it might actually be good to give everyone an understanding the difference between what a carbon negative and a carbon neutral carpet tile means.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much carbon conversation out there now, even in our consumer lives, climate pledges, and we're seeing a lot more commercials from tech companies and all of that. So it's great to really understand the difference. So carbon neutral means that just as many carbon emissions have been pulled down from the atmosphere as have been put up. It nets out as a math equation to 0. So the way that Interface handles that is I often joke, we've been lowering the carbon footprint of our carpet tile for 25 years and no one has cared. I mean, some people did, but it wasn't really part of the specification process. We're seeing a lot more attention being paid to that now. I think that people feel, and interior designers are getting more engaged in the conversation. It's not just an architect or an engineer's job to save the carbon impact of buildings. So basically, we have lowered the embodied carbon, or the amount of carbon emissions associated with making the product. We have lowered that as much as possible, and then we purchase offsets to get to 0. That is kind of like what we can do today to get to 0 as we continue to work towards getting all of our products to carbon negative. We're starting with only 3 styles, but what we've shown is that it's possible for us to create the product that our customers love to specify, and we're making that carbon negative, which again is a positive thing. So that's kind of the difference. Most of what you'll hear about out there that's carbon neutral today has done it with offsets. Hopefully that manufacturer has also reduced the carbon footprint first so that they don't have to buy a lot of offsets or buy their way to neutral. We are buying, less and less every year as we work on these innovations that get us to even lower carbon footprint and then carbon negative products as well. So even our general portfolio is reducing by about 1/3 with the launch of these Sequest backings. And then we have these few products that actually get below 0.
Well, and then
so
it's
that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I think we need to educate, the audience about the differences. And, you kind of, Lisa had mentioned it earlier, that negative actually is a positive thing.
Yes.
And so for people to understand that when they hear it, because obviously our minds go in the opposite.
I know.
So negative out there is a positive for everybody. And it's great because while you say you just have these 3 products now, it sounds like you're already well on your way to launching additions to it. So this is only the first of 3. Let's get that
right
in front of our audience. But, embodied beauty certainly lives up to its name and shows that beautiful design and sustainability are inseparable. So with that, I'm sorry, our time was short today, but I want to say to both you, Lisa, and to Carrie, thank you so much for your time and certainly for your insight. And for our audience at home, please make sure to check out the Interface website to learn more about embodied beauty and climate take back.
Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, and you just watched our first ever Best of Year Student Awards. Yay! And now it is my sincere honor to go live with Marta Benson, the president of Pottery Barn. And Pottery Barn, remember, sponsored the awards, so thank you. And Marta has also led the transformation and evolution of the Pottery Barn brand. We're going to hear all about it. And Marta, how are you?
Hi, Cindy. I'm excellent. Thank you.
It's so lovely to see you. Okay, this is my second time seeing you, but I'm already sort of like in love with you. So, but first of all, I want everyone to know that your initiatives have really transformed Pottery Barn, and we're going to get to that in the brand. But I want them to get to know you a little bit better too. So, give us the Marta Benson Cliff Notes version of your professional life. No pressure.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Well, so I stumbled upon a career in retail, and I was a liberal arts major, a philosophy major at Wesleyan University, and I had no idea what I wanted to do after college. Yet I knew I loved beauty, art history, design, and I knew I loved entrepreneurial things, and I had some idea that I was interested in business, but I didn't know how to combine my interest in business with my interest in art and design. And it took me a couple of twists and turns, from working in an art gallery to working at restaurants in New York City to stumbling upon a career in retail. And it really fit because it's a left brain, right brain combination.
Right.
There's the creativity of brand and product design and bringing all that to market. And then there's the quantitative side and the P&Ls and the numbers and the margin. And I ended up just being relatively good at both. I would say there are people who are wildly more creative than me. There are probably people who are wildly more quantitative than me. But to be a good general manager, you need to have a little bit of both. And I have had a wonderful 30-year run working for some terrific brands that have had a sense of purpose, like Smith & Hawken, the organic garden company.
Love it. Yeah.
8 years. And I literally went from a seasonal phone order taker to a head merchant of the catalog. And then I spent 10 years at Restoration Hardware. Initially, when Stephen Gordon, the founder, was growing from only had 4 stores, I was selected to help merchandise these stores. But given I had a catalog background, I launched the catalog and later e-commerce division for Restoration Hardware, growing it from 0 to 250 million. After that, I became a CEO of a luxury brand in San Francisco called Gumps, which is a 150-year-old luxury department store.
Oh, Gumps. Are they around now or?
Yes,
anymore?
they are. They are.
Yeah.
They're still hanging in.
Amazing.
But, you know, Gumps, I was nostalgic for quality and authenticity.
Yeah.
The privilege of Gumps was carrying all of these old world authentic brands. And then about 10 years ago, I joined the Williams-Sonoma Group, initially in a strategy and business development role. We have a family of brands and we have a great platform to help smaller brands grow. I led the acquisition of a beautiful Portland-based lighting company called Rejuvenation.
Oh yeah, we love Rejuvenation.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And I wrote a business plan for an internal startup of a monogramming gift business that really celebrated great typography. So about 5 years ago, I was asked to engage with the Pottery Barn brand. And Pottery Barn is our largest brand, but 5 years ago, it wasn't growing. And so the opportunity to rebuild the culture, the sense of purpose, and to get it growing again has been the opportunity of a lifetime. And we are on that journey and having some success. And I look forward to telling you a little bit more about that later.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, was that a big decision in your life to say yes to that? You've obviously had many successes, right?
To say yes to Pottery Barn, or
yeah, to say yes to you're gonna evolve this brand.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I consider myself an entrepreneur, and I used to tell our CEO that the strategy and business development job was my dream job because I got to leverage all of our resources to work on beautiful, smaller, help incubate and grow smaller brands, which is super fun and very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
However, I've realized that if I was going to make a contribution to Williams-Sonoma Inc., really renovating and working on its biggest brand would add the most value to the company. So I'm someone who's motivated by challenge. If I'm doing the same thing for too long, I can get a little bored. So for me, the challenge, I love a good challenge. And I thought, okay, why not? Let's do this. And so initially, it's funny, initially it wasn't really my brand. And I was like,
Right.
I'd worked for every other brand and I was like, it's not my brand. I don't really get it. But I fell in love with the brand as I worked with it. Its DNA of comfortable, casual, accessible, good design at a value. So we can really invite more people into our brand. And I have fallen in love with the brand and the team, and I'm very passionate about it. But initially it was a little bit more of an academic challenge. It's like, okay, sure, professionally do this, but I have since fallen in love with it.
Yeah,
Because of the team you build, when you build a team and a culture, then it becomes, self-feeding.
Yeah, that's the thing for folks out there, because who's around her, because I've heard it like so many times, it's just like so inspiring. So, some of this conversation is like, take heed, because there's some good notes. So what was that? Was the first thing to rebuild a team? Was that the first thing?
A couple things.
Yeah.
One was to really go to the mountaintop and say, who are we? What do we want to be famous for? What is in our DNA? I think the brand had gotten a little stuck and gotten a little tops down and gotten a little bit just not inclusive, not collaborative. And it meant sort of going to the mountaintop to say, what are our true values? What do we stand for? What is our clear positioning? And so to do that work, we called it our brand truth work, but to do that with a really inclusive cross-functional team so that we would work on it together. So it wasn't like, again, a tops down, like, well, Marta divined the strategy.
Right.
Now let me tell you the strategy.
Right.
Or do strategic work in an inclusive way and bring everyone along. When you land and get to the conclusion, everyone owns it and you have a much greater chance of being successful. So we did this brand truth work, which was very clarifying and sort of landed who we wanted to be, and then actually it's a work that you constantly revisit and you clarify. And I would say that over this past year, the senior team and I have really worked on just distilling it to like, what do we want to be famous for? And it's one, ideas and inspiration. The easy entry into our brand is our beautiful lifestyle images. Those assets, you'll find them, whether it's on Instagram, on our site, in our catalogs, or beautiful vignettes in our stores. It's ideas and inspiration to do a project. Then it's about quality. We believe in enduring goods and designing it and building things to last. Ours is not the least expensive. Most customers even perceive us as expensive. Because imagine, even with an affluent customer, the average household income is about $110,000. Maybe they're furnishing 4 rooms on $110,000. They have a finite amount to spend. So we try to deliver great style, but also keep it accessible. And yet we don't want stuff in the landfill. We want quality. We want sustainability. So we're very proud of our supply chain, factory audits, environmental audits. We're increasing our penetration of reclaimed woods and woods and organic cottons. And, so we're very, so I think, back to the how do we turn this thing around? It was like, focus on what are your values? What do you stand for? So ideas, inspiration, quality, sustainability, and then service. At the end of the day, what we care about is being really humble. It's not about us. We're here to serve our guests and help them make their home design projects and renovations easier. And so our service ethic in our stores is something to be so proud of, or Josie's service ethic in our B2B organization, where they were like 8 brands, with 8 brands, we'll get to yes. I believe Monica coined that,
I love that. We'll get to yes.
So I think it's really rebuilding the positioning, clarifying, gaining alignment, and then rebuilding the culture. And that does sometimes team. Your people have to buy in to a inclusive, collaborative team where cross-functional partnerships are very important. It takes a village to get this done, and you have to respect all the different disciplines. There's no hierarchy of, this group's in charge and everyone else is subservient. No, no, no. Every single functional area has a role to play to delivering this promise. And so we got to be collaborative and respectful and build really a team and a team spirit.
What do you think, so we're talking about the evolution. What does Pottery Barn look like right now? Or what do you want people to understand it to be and see it that way?
Thank you. That's a great question, Cindy, because I will tell you, I think the brand, because it's been around a long time, I think it's stuck in people's minds as some kind of Hobby Lobby country kitchen thing. And if you see the work of, Monica Gava and our product development team, the chic, rustic, modern, it's relaxed, it's casual, it's comfortable. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's beautiful, it's restrained, it celebrates materials. There's a lot of soulful finishes. And I have to say that, again, I think we are, part of our job now is to get unstuck and to change people's perceptions of the brand. But I think what we're famous for is comfortable, casual, relaxed style. And it's as updated as any. I mean, when you see what we really are leading with in terms of our beautiful, relaxed sofas with wide arms and deep seats and very customizable. I mean, our boucle fabrics, all of our nubby and cozy textures, our reclaimed woods. I mean, so we have a lot of silhouettes that are more modern and cleaner, but still have a lot of soulful finishes. So again, that's what I hope people see is where we are today. But I know that, some people are like, oh, that's kind of traditional. I'm like, what's traditional about what we're doing today? I don't see it is that traditional, but I do think, there's a big market for traditional and maybe we're never going to be bleeding edge, leading edge. We are comfortable, casual. So I do think that, for us, our look is a little bit more of an updated, comfortable, casual, classic, timeless. When we ask our guests what's important to them, they want their homes to be welcoming, inviting. They talk about a feeling and they want to be relaxed and comfortable. They want to be able to put your feet up on the coffee table and not stress about it.
But I do know that Pottery Barn wants the design community to know that you support them and appreciate them. So, yes, and I know Josie's doing an unbelievable job, but just expand on that a little bit.
Sure. Well, first of all, the reason we all got into the home business is because we love design, and who leads the way but the interior design community. These are the leaders. They're at the tippy top of the pyramid. So we have a lot of respect for, the interior design community. Now, where do we fit in? I think we used to be a better resource to them, which meant that when they were doing one of their customers' homes, they knew they could go to Pottery Barn for the family room sofa. They could go to Pottery Barn for really great basics and beautiful, whether it was the hurricanes on the back patio or the beautiful, crisp linen sheets. I think that we used to be a better supplier to our friends in the interior design trade, where, I remember hearing people say, well, we'll use such and such a high-end brand for the master suite, but every other room is going to get, Pottery Barn, something a little bit more accessible, a little more affordable.
Right.
So I'd like to think that we can be a great provider to them. Also, we have our own sofa manufacturing. We have our own lighting factory. We can do a lot of custom work. I mean, Josie and her team, can have at their resources, many, many makers and suppliers. So we can really customize and tailor things. So I think we can have a great, symbiotic relationship.
I don't think that designers know that. I don't think they know that the custom programs are available. And I think when they're working on a very complicated project that needs a lot of different levels of, in terms of price point, that you would be a great resource for them. So we want them to know that.
Yeah. But also, as you have covered the beautiful Chase Center, I think what was amazing was no one thought, well, how could Pottery Barn and Williams-Sonoma and West Elm deliver on all of that? And it was like, you know why? Because we have an incredible supply chain. Not only do we have the designers who can help tailor it, but we have the supply chain. So you end up getting such a great value.
The Chase Center was it, like telling that story about that is a complicated project, so much space, and that idea of, like, you know, working with Williams-Sonoma and Gensler and all the brands that Gensler didn't know that they would be working with all those brands and all the customization. And that was just so telling, which is why we want to tell more stories, right?
Great.
Yeah. So, okay. So there are a lot of things that you're doing in terms of what you kind of say pillars of your brand. And the reason why you sponsored our first ever Best of Year Student Awards. Yay! Because you're really passionate about supporting and developing talent from students, correct?
Absolutely. Well, so first of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to support you on this initiative. It was such a delight to see not all of the submissions, but your finalists, your winners.
Yeah.
We all need a talent pipeline.
Yes.
And we have, invested in an internship program ourselves to source really great talent. And some of those interns are in product design and have gone on to work on our product development teams.
Yeah. Students also need that opportunity. They need that chance. And, so for us to like expose it, there's nothing like exposing like great talents. Okay. So then I want to ask you, all right. So I want to know what some of your favorites were. Oh, first of all, you need to know this. So this is the first time we've done this competition. I know it's going to explode next year, but there were 23 schools that submitted, and
wow.
There were 17 countries represented. And then we ended up picking our favorites from 13 schools. So that's like kind of amazing. I think that's kind of amazing.
To be honest,
okay. Yeah.
When you sent it to me, I couldn't believe how global the scope was. I was so impressed. Everything from Paris to Pasadena to the United Arab Emirates to Spain
to China to New York City. I mean,
yeah,
that's who we are.
That's your global. You have a global footprint. I
know. And the one thing that like sort of breaks my heart is that when we do Best of Year, so tomorrow's products, which are like 100 categories, and products the next year, it is so global, Marta, that typically people come in from all over the world. They don't know if they've won, and they come in and they're with everybody, and then they just become part of the family. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it is kind of amazing. So these kids don't have this opportunity this time, but still they're the first. So there's something about being the first. Yeah. So, okay. So you got to tell me some of your favorites. Let's chat a little.
Okay. Well, I would tell you that I don't know if however the team that sent me the files, the first one I opened, I found to be so delightful. And that is the project called Walkie. Fernando Moro Medina.
Yes.
I loved his whole, and not just his concept, but his storytelling and how he took a concept, it had an arc, it had a story, it was playful, it was delightful. He talked about curiosity and interaction and personality. And then his execution of the actual bistro chair with the feet was just beautiful, well done. And then the way he positioned the story and shot the chair in all the different locations, I was like, it was kind of like A+ from concept to execution to presentation. And I was like, wow, like, yes.
I completely agree. I was like so smitten. First of all, he's from SCAD, and SCAD, they're, super open and creative, and they're always allowing designers to like push themselves into the things that they love to do. But you are right. And it's like kind of a great example for other people to see, like having a narrative, having the product, the product has so much spirit. I know the name, the whole thing. And then the fact that he presented it so well. I mean, A++, right? Okay. Yeah. We love Walkie.
No. So that one, yeah. And also just, you can't underestimate as a merchant, the power of storytelling.
Right. I agree.
Products have to have meaning.
Right.
We can buy products anywhere, everywhere, 24/7, right? What makes a product resonate? It's
I agree.
the power of the story is like what I mean, that's where I grew up as a merchant, like finding products with stories. And so
I agree.
that one just like.
I agree. I'm always telling, so just so you know, so I'm always telling designers and architects to photograph the story, not just document the project. Give me the story visually, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, anyway. Okay. So what's the next thing?
Okay, the next one, I think I want to give a shout out to the French duo that created the beautiful, they were called the mood lamps. And it was,
Natalie.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So the banana, figuring out, doing the work, the hard work to figure out how to use those materials, the stem of the banana trunk, whatever.
Right.
And then, I mean, so I think this is a very important theme, which is the exploration of the use of new materials. And particularly if they're environmental materials, like an invasive weed or this or that. But I thought that French, those lamps were so artful, and the use of the banana trunk stem or whatever, I was just like, I thought it was really, really, really refined and elegant, beautiful execution. So
yeah, I sort of joked in the presentation because I kind of loved that they said it's a limited edition, available in 3 sizes. There's a good message there for students, because I hear from, you know, folks in the industry that say, as a young person, go explore the world, right? Yeah. And because they did, and they met this tribe, that they learned about the banana leaf, and they learned, oh my God, we could do something with this. I mean, that's like, that's kind of living your best life and making design from it. So yes, I completely agree. And the idea of sustainability and all that. Okay, give us another one.
Okay, so then another one I thought was very, really impressive was the twisted brick from the Indian school group, the duo that did the 3D printed facade system. Like that was mind blowing. Like take an object, like reinvent the brick. Now, how, like that's hard. That is not a simple task. It's got to be hand. It's got to be able to be worked on together. I thought that was just not only beautiful, but hard and interesting. And again, it speaks to this innovation of how we move building materials forward. And I thought that was very, very well done.
I did too. And it was also a great message about collaboration, because they were a trio and they were exploring something that was obviously very, very complicated. And we don't know all the details, but I'm sure each of them like brought something else to the table. And we talked all about the future is collaboration. So I thought, and it was so beautiful, the detail of the material, because we kind of broke down the presentation. So I wanted everyone to kind of see what materials they selected. That detail of the material, that earthenware, grog, white clay was like, whoa, gorgeous, right? Yeah. All right, give us one more. I know they're all fantastic, but
yeah, no, they all are. But okay, my last reference point would be, I thought that the student named Di Lu from China, and particularly the tissue box, the way he just so elegantly took and innovated around just a dumb average household basic and turned it into this sublime thing of beauty. And it was just so restrained and beautiful and elegant. And I just was like, okay, that works too. That was just very, very, very special.
Yeah, I completely agree. So he submitted like 5 or 6 products. And, you know, if you do the typical thing and you like him, you kind of pick one. And Helene and I, we were like, no. This shows his mind. So his mind obviously likes small things, but he loves the detail and what his design does to something else. Because he talks about, it was a little hard to see it in this, but he talks about like, depending how you pull the tissue paper out, it creates a different pattern. I mean, come on, that's enough to make you cry just on a tissue paper holder. But it's lovely that you can have a beautiful object that's a necessary object, as you said. And wait, I have to say that the pencil sharpener also was so beautiful because he cared about, he called it the crumbs of when you sharpen a pencil, and he made them into florets. I mean, God is in the detail, and he really, really, God in design is in the detail, and he really gets it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was very impressed. I think the consistent quality of thought and work, is really to your credit at Interior Design Magazine that, these students are all engaging at a very high level. It's very impressive.
Yeah, we were really, really, really proud, and so proud that you want to like kind of go on this journey with us, because we want to do more things together, and knowing how strongly your belief system is that. Because maybe there's something that'll end up happening with one of these products. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, hook us up with Mr. Walkie.
Oh, done. It's done. It's done. I want a prototype. Okay, so I mean, we've talked about design. We've talked about the next gen. There also, you've also talked about your initiatives with diversity, and I know that you're doing some important things right now.
Absolutely. I think we were all sort of rattled and shaken to our core this summer with the tragic events that really kind of have stimulated a great awakening around some of the systemic issues that are creating racial injustice and these issues. So we have a three-pronged racial equity and kind of plan. And first, it was finding some terrific philanthropic partners because we could just support their work, right? And everyone from the National Urban League to the NAACP to the Jackie Robinson Scholarship Fund. But the second piece of it is around representation. And we're committed to increasing representation in our, amongst all of our associates. We do well in some of our pockets of our business, and we need to do better in others. And our CEO is very committed to driving that representation at the highest levels of our organization. And that means that as we have a pipeline for candidates, we really, it's just absolutely a requirement that we consider diverse people with diverse backgrounds. So we have a lot of commitments to do there. Next is we're focused on collaborations, and whether it's influencers and product collaborations with people of color. And so those projects are underway in all of our brands.
That's great.
And then the next prong is really about education and making, just inspiring people to learn and to understand their unconscious bias, and really trying to work on culture and education. So we definitely are taking this seriously. And we're an organization that has done a lot with women's equity issues. We have some of the top results in terms of women in leadership. We have a female CEO, female CFO. I think
Look at you.
There's a greater likelihood that your CEO's name is Dave than they are a woman, because in the Fortune 500, there's only like 7% have women CEOs. But we've been leaders around the LGBTQ plus. I mean, we were very outspoken around marriage equity and access to that. And so, but this now is the next, we have to do better with racial justice issues. So we're taking it head on, and with our CEO's sponsorship. I mean, it's we're excited to I think it's early days, but we want to make a difference.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear. And, this is kind of a new relationship for us too. And it means a lot that you're digging in to support the design community, that there's access for the designers to do really amazing projects together with you guys, that you're supporting social inequities in this world, that you're encouraging young designers and want their talent, right? Like I want their talent, you want their talent too, and in different ways, so which is fantastic. And Marta, you're just an inspiration, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this is an ecosystem, right? The interior design community, the design media, the retailers. I mean, we all intersect, and the extent to which we can support each other, it's just win-win.
I agree. So for everyone out there, first of all, we're super delighted. Our first ever Best of Year Student Award Design winners, that Pottery Barn sponsored it, that we have this like wonderful relationship with them. We're so excited for the students. And I'm like, they better be posting on social and doing all that good stuff because they must be super excited. But then just going forth in a positive direction for 2021, because we can't wait to get out of 2020, honestly.
Yes, yes, bye-bye.
Right, but we really look forward to doing more together and getting to know you better. And we appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Cindy, for the work you're doing, and congratulations on all of your big milestones, your best of year. I mean, you must be completely swamped with all of the great recognition that you're doing to support all of the top architects, designers, product people in our industry.
Manufacturers, everybody. We're just throwing the love out there because
There
you
you
know
go.
what? Because they deserve it. They deserve it. So, okay. So I'm sending you a big virtual hug, Marta. I
Okay.
look forward to our next conversation and look forward to all the good things that you're going to do. And to everyone out there, sending you love and positivity for the new year.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suzie Williford, and welcome to my conversation. I'm so glad you can join me for my new monthly series. I'm pretty excited about this. We'll be engaging with some of the best, brightest, and most interesting minds and talents in our industry. We hope it will be informative and inspiring, insightful, and fun. This is only our second episode, but it's a special one, coming at the end of a very, very unusual year. I couldn't be happier to welcome my guest and my really dear friend, Cindy Allen. Cindy is the amazing editor-in-chief of Interior Design magazine, one of the premier properties of the SANDOW media empire. She is quite simply a driving force in the interior design, and I'm very happy to say she's a big advocate of the NKBA. You know, I always looked at her in awe for so many years, and now to have the honor to call her my friend and to invite her to this show, pretty special day for me. NKBA and ID have collaborated on a number of projects, including the Best of Kitchen and Bath special issues of Interior Design magazine. She's delivered keynote addresses at KBIS a couple of years and always packed the room. And she's hosted the ID Live right from our booth on the show floor. She's also host of DesignTV, and I'm honored to be a regular guest on her show. So now it's my turn to host her. She's usually the one asking all the questions, but now we get to do the asking. So welcome, Cindy.
Hi, Suzie. Okay, can we just switch the tables right now? Okay, let me get back into my comfort zone. Anyway, I'm so happy to see you, and I love you so much. And you know, after the year we've had to like sort of end the year together is very inspiring for me too.
Well, thank you. I have to tell you, I'm much more comfortable when you're leading the charge and I'm following. So, if this goes askew, just stop me and
Okay,
we'll see what
okay,
we can do.
okay,
So let's go ahead and get started while we're doing this.
okay.
Cindy, you say you're a self-described design junkie. Was that always a passion of yours?
It's funny because thinking back on something like that, I wasn't exposed to design. Like my family wasn't about design. My father was a math professor, but he was creative. I'd say that I was just a kid who was always doing things creative. Like I remember I used to do a lot of drawing and doodles. A lot of them, if I look back at them, like, oh, they kind of look like wallpaper patterns. Or I used to do in the backyard, we used to hold like these, plays, and I would direct them and be star in them. All those things that kids used to do. But I do remember that I loved going to tag sales with my mom when I was young. And then when I got a little bit older, I was completely obsessed with design magazines. So they used to transport me somewhere else. And that's never changed, I guess.
So tell me, tag sales, what's a tag sale?
Oh, tag sale, like a garage sale, and you go find great furniture,
okay.
fix it up. And yeah, I just remember having that time with my mom and then, repainting something or making it feel special. So there were these little moments of design that I didn't realize that's what it was.
And that's where you were going.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your earliest design-centric memory?
Okay, there are kind of two of them. One of them was in my family. My family owned a printing business in Brooklyn. So I remember this old warehouse, and you'd go up like 40 steps to this great factory. It was dark and it was, old-fashioned printing. I remember the sound of the machines and the men there working. I was just completely fascinated by that. And then fast forward, when I got out of college in New York City, the economics was really bad. It was really, really hard to get a job. And if you were a creative kid, you wanted to work like at an agency. And so I wanted to design some sort of resume that was memorable. And so I remember my dad helped me, and we made a newspaper where all the articles were about me and all my talents. And I got in, and basically that helped me get into all my job interviews, which was kind of amazing. And then the other thing that I look back on now, I'm like, oh my God, this is so telling. My first apartment was in a little brownstone on the Upper East Side, and I fixed it up and I submitted it to Met Home. Used to have these really, really great, like once a year, like home awards. And I got like an honorable mention. So I didn't even really care that I didn't win, but I remember doing that. And then all these years later, all these awards programs that I'm doing, it's kind of crazy.
Well, but now you understand the value of them and how encouraging it is for somebody when they win to go forward with their career. Everybody knows Cindy Allen, the diva, the queen of design, the voice that when you speak, everybody listens. But I don't know how many people really know about your journey or your life growing up, or how you landed where you are today, and the role of design in that journey. Would you be comfortable sharing a little bit about your life growing up with us?
It's true. A lot of people don't know, and I always tell young folks that it's about your experiences and gathering on them. And so that when you look back, it kind of makes sense. When you're in the middle of stuff, maybe it doesn't. So, okay, so Cliff Notes. I was in college I had a double major, business and communication. So I was always kind of left brain, right brain. And I liked looking at both sides. And I married, so I was at St. John's University, and I married a 6'10" basketball player. There was a big basketball program there. And right out of college, we were really, really young and lived overseas because he got, scouted, and there was a very big European league there. So we basically jumped around from country to country for 9 years. I know most people don't know this about me, that's for sure.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, at the same time, we were really, really young. I mean, and he was a great guy, but neither one of us, like, I mean, I was so young. I had just gotten out of college, you know. It was very exciting. I remember everyone was so excited, but it wasn't like a long lasting, I mean, you think it might be, but I think back then as a woman, it was easier to put your energy into someone else's career than your own. It was a different time than now, you know? And so we got divorced and I had to start over. So 9 years later, I started over at the bottom as an assistant at Calvin Klein Cosmetics, moved back to New York and started from the bottom. But I had all this life experience, right? I had all this life experience and understanding what it's like to win and lose and, you know, live in a town where everyone wants to know you, but it's because of not who you are, but of like, you know, that you are, you know, part of this team. And it taught me a lot about people and that people are, they're good people and bad people. And I always wanted to do the right thing. But anyway, so I started from the bottom and I worked at Calvin Klein's in marketing. And then I went to, you know, I was always a design junkie. So I ended up working at Tefenki and Tibetan Carpets. And I was in charge of marketing there. And I ended up being in charge of all the ad placements. And that's how I connected to interior design, actually. And I still remember back then, if you wanted a job, you'd look in the New York Times paper. And I was looking for my best friend because I didn't like the job she had. I was like, you could have a better job. So I started looking in the paper for a job for her. And I saw this ad for marketing director for Interior Design magazine. I was like, huh. And then I called a friend there. I said, you know, would I be good at this job? They were like, you would be perfect. And that was my entree into interior design.
Wow, wow.
Crazy, right?
That's crazy. And it's interesting how part of your story parallels mine. So
tell me.
We have even, no, I mean about the Marion Young and, you know, I was so young and I was more invested in him than I was in me. And it took me a while to figure that out. And then I had to start over, you know, you start over it.
It doesn't leave, right. It doesn't leave you, right? It's sort of like,
no.
Okay, what about yourself? What are you going to do for yourself? It doesn't leave you. So,
no,
yeah.
and he was a great guy, you know, and he's the fabric, part of the fabric of who I am today. So that's all good. So obviously being left brain and right brain, you could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And you may have answered this already. I think I better understand what made you decide to go into journalism as opposed to design. Because you obviously could have gone either way.
Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing that it never occurred to me to be a designer. Like I was always more exposed to media and marketing and more exposed to magazines. So yeah, it never occurred to me.
You know, talking about media. So print media, like a lot of businesses, have had some challenges, not just in COVID, but print media has been challenged now for quite a few years. A lot of people say that print is struggling. However, SANDOW, being a smart and successful publisher, has branched into many other media platforms, primarily digital, been still successful in print. Yet, you know, you still do have this successful print franchise that holds true across your whole company's portfolio. Why are you guys thriving when so many other legendary, long-standing, familiar titles are vanishing?
That's a good and a really big question. Well, a couple of things. First of all, interior design has always sat in its own space, right? Because it's always been a professional magazine that represents and records the industry. And, you know, that's different than many other magazines, even fabulous ones that we all love to look at. You know, in the old days, it was called a trade magazine, right? Now it's like kind of a great design magazine. And we follow what's happening in the industry. So we're always staying current because of that. And we're always looking at, we're not looking at like print as print or digital as digital. We're looking at media, right? So we're all things to everybody in different ways. And the one thing that I think is really special about interior design is that we serve the community, right? So we're serving the architects and designers, we're serving the manufacturers. How do we better serve you, right? So that's why it was like for us, when COVID happened, how do we serve our industry if we can't be together? Because, you know, we've had many successful events too. Okay, we're gonna pivot and we're gonna start DesignTV. That's how we're gonna serve you. So I think we've always stayed very, very close. Plus we have these relationships, right? With these associations like yourself, the manufacturers, the designers, they need us, they want to hear from us, they want the support from us. And we want to give that back. And I think that because like the design community is about a lot of things, like you're going virtual for your show, but the minute you can get back in some way to being together. So they want to be together, they're touchy-feely, and now they're all having to go digital. So we're all those things. So I'm very, very proud of that.
You should be. And you know, you're a true and have been a true advocate for the industry. And you started the very impressive, because I've been to it, Best of Year Awards, also known as the Boy Awards. It's really quite a spectacular event in New York, and I can't wait to attend it live again next year.
I know.
I just want to be with somebody, all these wonderful people. There's a lot of great award shows, though. Why did you decide to start the boys, and what do you think their unique niche is?
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes I say like the best idea is a simple one that when it works out, it seems like it was always meant to be there. And I think the Boy Awards is absolutely one of those things. It's funny how it happened though. So, you know, every year we have Hall of Fame, where we induct luminaries in our industry. And the whole industry comes to New York City right at the beginning of Christmas time during the tree trimming and all of that. And they're in the audience. Now, I've stood in front of them for 20 years now. And I would say maybe after like 7 or 8 of them, I look out at the audience, and, you know, we only induct 4 luminaries. There's a whole, 1,400 people there. And if you look out, you see all of this talent, all this major work, whether it was product or project, like amazing talent. And I start to feel really, really guilty that there wasn't another vehicle to honor them and celebrate this amazing achievement, and plus the wide variety of it. And honestly, that's how the boys started. And I remember it took a couple years because at the time, the publisher at the time was like, Cindy, how are you going to do 2 in a row? And I was like, I'll do it, and it really became this special, 2 nights, which maybe it'll even expand more in the future. But, we were so surprised because people came in from all over the world. They don't know if they're one. They came in from all over the world. We always have like a dozen countries at least represented there. And when we talk about being diverse, and we always want to be more diverse and more diverse, we are diverse. And you know what happens at these award competitions is that's how you make these other kinds of connections, because some young designers and living in, far off countries, that's how their name gets on the map, by like submitting to awards programs. So then they come to the event, and then we love them up, and then they're part of the family, and so on and so on. So it's been a wonderful achievement, I have to say. And we did it virtually this whole week. We did it virtually. So we added. I know, right? So we added. We added students and we added people. And I have to say, so yesterday we did Best of People, and it was a global view. And I was really, really touched by it. There were I gave 20 awards out, and they represented 15 countries. I mean, you can't get better than that.
So I was going to ask you what your game-changing aha moment was, but obviously that's when you looked out at the crowd and realized there could be more.
I mean, that, for me, they're actually, that for sure. And then for me personally, since we're doing personal, my aha moment was, and I'm sure you don't know this either, is my husband, Marino, who I met. He was the art director on the marketing side at Architectural Digest. And
I didn't know that.
No, yeah. And when I was at Tefenki and I needed a freelancer for a project, and someone said, "Oh my God, Marino, you got to meet Marino. He's like the most talented, and he does, and and they let him do freelance projects." So that's how we met, and that was it. And when I first started working at interior design, there was all these things I wanted to do, and he was the first person that I really looked up to, the first person who would ever say no to me, and I would listen to him. I would try not to. I'd be like, maybe say no, but he was so talented that I would leave interior design at 5 o'clock and go. He had a huge studio at Architectural Digest, and he would help me with projects for interior design. And when we got married, both magazines were at the wedding. It was kind of amazing. But when you find a partner, like a real partner, that was a game changer for me.
Well, that's about the coolest thing I've heard yet. I love that.
I know.
Little romance in all of this. That's pretty cool.
Hey, why not?
So let's talk about, why not? Let's talk about 2020.
Yeah.
This has been an almost indescribable year. I keep thinking it just keeps becoming more indescribable. Of course, it was dominated by COVID-19 and the presidential election and all these things that, have been stressful to say the least. But out of every year like this, every time, every cycle, good stuff comes out and lasting changes come out. But out of this, what design-related elements do you think 2020 will be remembered for?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well,
if any.
Yeah, no. There definitely will be. I mean, I think the things we can't see, which is to me really interesting, is that we're having these conversations that we never had about air, for instance, and air circulation, spaces where you can open a window. Think about hospitality, like open a window in a hotel room, or terracing for office spaces, and new ways to work indoor and outdoor. So that's like kind of an amazing thing. Air. I had this amazing engineer on one of my Instagram programs who was telling me, he was teaching me all about COVID and air. So I feel like that's like really something we never thought about before. Another thing in the kitchen and bath industry, and especially in the plumbing industry, we've never talked about hygiene as much as we've ever have now, right? And I give my hats off to all of the amazing plumbing companies, because that's in their DNA of their company, but we never talk about it. We talk about design and beauty and function, but we never talked about hygiene. So that's like such a big thing that then starts to bring together this wellness, which is something we're going to be talking about for all our years to come, and in every category of the industry, which is amazing. I love this. We just gave a Best of Year award in Bath to this beautiful, it was a private wellness pavilion in Austria. It is absolutely killer to die for. But when you think about the home, this is spectacular. This is not something I would ever be able to have in my home. But when you think about the home and the kitchen and bath, and how much we've needed those spaces, like you, Suzie, like you redesigned your kitchen during COVID. Like, it's so important to us now, right? In a completely different way.
That's true. And air circulation was at the top of my list, which if I would have done it 5 years ago, maybe it wouldn't be. My husband and I laugh about the world's probably the cleanest it has ever been, because everybody is really paying attention. And I think I agree with you. Those will be the lasting gifts out of this, is just a little better breathing, cleaner environment for all of us.
Yes.
So now, although this has been fascinating and a lot of fun, I really love this part. Now it's time for our lightning round, which is quick questions, quick answers, no explanations, just one word where possible or a short sentence. Are you ready?
I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to try.
Okay. What was your last Cindy Graham post?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, today I'm posting where when I undo a box for each issue. So I'm going to undo the December issue today. David Rockwell, he has no idea. He's on the cover, and it's for an outdoor dining space, which is also a trend right now, COVID.
Cool.
Yeah.
What design trend or element do you wish would just go away forever?
You're making me nervous with these questions. I think opulence for opulence sake, like irresponsible opulence. I don't like it.
Good. And nobody ever makes you nervous, so you're not
I know.
fooling me. What's the coolest innovation you discovered at KBIS last year?
Well, looking back now, touchless anything, and also that just won Best of Year, Kohler's Intelligent Toilet, which is also something we're going to be talking about in the future.
Very cool.
Yeah.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
What's the little black dress of interior design?
The little black dress is red, which is our, it's a red that we use. It's sort of our branding, and it's 80 magenta, 90 yellow. So a red.
All right. What defines modern luxury to you?
Definitely spa-like bathrooms. And that spa in Austria is modern luxury off the charts.
Okay, I got to check this one
Yeah.
out. Do you mostly cook or order?
Well, these days we order in food and then we cook. I mean, we order in stuff, goods, and then we cook. And my husband makes like unbelievable bread, crazy good. So we're cooking.
So we call that at our house food assembly.
Food
not
assembly,
cooking,
yes.
We're food assembly.
Yes.
What's your favorite period of architecture?
Oh, the Bauhaus, for sure.
Favorite city?
Oh, there's a lot, but I think because of Salone and bringing the global world of design together, I have to say Milan.
Okay. What's the last book you read or listened to?
Well, I have to say, we just finished a Woman in Design book. I have to give a little plug, but we just ordered a book on the Pope that I'm going to be reading, so.
Orlando or Vegas?
I have to go for the desert.
What gets your juices flowing as an editor?
Reviewing a project or meeting a young designer and seeing a project or something I've never seen before. I can't describe it. It makes your heart beat fast, and it gives you, it gives you the happies, and you just want to share it with everybody.
That's beautiful. What's the biggest professional challenge you've overcome, and how did you do it? Now that's a hard one to do quickly.
I know that's a hard in a sentence. Come on, this is now getting cruel.
We can skip that one if you want.
Well, it's good. I became editor-in-chief working on the New York issue right when 9/11 happened. And it changed my life. It changed my thinking about being a leader and how to support the industry.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow. Yeah. What's something amazing or unexpected about you that we don't know?
I've given you a lot, okay? Can I just say?
You
I've
did.
given you a lot. When we're in the car, my husband always says, Cindy, you could have been a professional singer. I'm not singing, but.
That's fun.
Yeah.
What design style or genre had the most influence on you?
Modernism.
What other magazines do you love?
All the SANDOW brands, Metropolis, Luxe, and New Beauty. But I get all the magazines, and I do always look forward to the New Yorker and New York Magazine.
Oh, I told you I'm married to a magazine junkie. What's the next smart home technology thing you want for your house?
Well, I'm an Apple girl, but I'm definitely on your train, and just in terms of air purifier.
What profession other than your own would you like to or have wanted to pursue?
Oh, that's hard, but I'm a maker at heart, and I love the process, and I love going to look at factories. So maybe the head of a design manufacturing company, maybe.
Oh, cool. Mine? Law.
I want to know.
I would have liked to done law. Any regrets?
Wait, what?
Any regrets?
Wait, what did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say you would have done?
Law.
Oh, law. Wow.
Law. I love to negotiate. So I would
Ah,
have liked to done law.
I love that.
Any regrets?
I don't live like that. I feel like you learn, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off and move forward.
I was just going to ask you best advice you've received, but I think you just gave it.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That's true.
If especially young people, no regrets. Just
Yeah, no regrets.
move
No
forward.
regrets. Yeah, exactly.
Best advice you can give to aspiring design professionals.
Mm. We talk about it all the time, to find your voice, work your tail off, and have empathy for others.
How about advice to aspiring editors?
You have to be passionate about the content, like my editors clearly are. And as an editorial team, we all believe in this one thing, which is design is in the details. It is all about the details.
That's great advice. And we could literally, I'm having so much fun, we could go on and on, but unfortunately, I think we have to end it here.
Okay.
So thank you, Cindy, for this great chat, for your candor and your honesty, for sharing things with us that I really didn't expect you to share. So I feel so gratified. Best of luck with the next issue and all that's to come. It's important. And thanks to all of you for joining me. And I hope you'll be back next month as I welcome another great guest for Conversations with Suzie Williford. Don't forget, registration for KBIS 2021 virtual is open at kbis.com. It's going to be a spectacular virtual experience, and I hope you will all join me. So thank you for tuning in, and happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody. And Suzie, after you got a few under your belt, we're going to flip the tables, and we'll do it to you.
Okay.
That's a challenge.
Okay.
Lots of love. Lots of love.
Lots of love to you too, friend.